Hi class, it's Miss Miller here, and today we're going to be talking about the works cited page. And actually I'm going to go in and type one up for you so you can see what it looks like, at least the first few entries of a works cited page. Now, one of the misconceptions that a lot of students do when they go to create their works cited page is they open up a brand new document and then they try to write their works cited page. Don't do that. You're going to create your works cited page on the exact same document that you've been working on. So your argument essay, you're going to take your cursor, scroll down to the very bottom of the last page of your essay, center your works cited page entry, and then you're going to begin. In the top right hand corner, you should still have your header. This is not anything you have to add in. It's already done for you because, again, it's on the exact same document. Now, the source A reference that we make, source B reference that we make, because we were talking quickly in class, we're not going to use that in our works cited page. So you're not going to have source A, source B, source C. You're just going to add the content of the actual works cited entry or the details. The other thing you want to keep in mind as you're constructing your works cited is that you want to only select the sources that you actually use. So yes, you read source A, you read source B, you read all of the sources, right? And you have to do the chunking, but you're only going to include the sources that you actually use as part of your works cited entry. So it's very possible that you have only 2 sources or 3 sources in your works cited page, okay? Keep in mind, you still want to include the plural, which is works with an S at the end, if you use if you use 2 or more entries. And I'm hoping that many of you use multiple sources. And in fact, you probably use several, at least 3, because even if it was a source that didn't side with your claim, you had to include something for your counter argument. Okay, so the other thing is I wanted to talk to you about is you want to make sure you put these sources in alphabetical order. So you're taking the details of the box, you're simply putting it in alphabetical order by the first letter in the entry. Now the great news is the works cited is already done for you. It's in the little box, you just copy it exactly the way it is. So it's not like anything we have to do. The only thing you're going to do is you're going to create one. So you're just going to type up exactly what's in the box. Now the box is small, so you don't want to create it the way it is in the box. You want to use the full extent of the works cited page. Now, when you're doing your works cited page, essentially what happens is your teacher is reading your essay, and each time you refer to a source, I should be able to check mark on your paper, okay, he's using this source, and then I should be able to go to your works cited page and say, okay, this person used, here it is right here, it's the second entry on their works cited page. And as I continue reading your essay, if I see that you refer to another author, you cite another author's work, then I should be able to flip to the last page of your works cited page and see, okay, here he is. Now, when I'm finished reading your essay, you may see that I have several checks next to each of your works cited entries. This tells me, okay, he used the first entry 1 time, he used the second entry 2 times, because I'll check mark it myself. And then if I see something, let's say for example there's a source in there, that you've included a 3rd source, but there's no reference or mention of it in your paper, then that's a problem. You either need to omit it from your works cited entry or add it to the content of your paper. The last thing I want to share with you for a works cited page is called a hanging indentation. And so it's easier to show you than to tell you, but the one thing I wanted to make sure you understand is that you are not to hit enter until you're actually complete with the works cited entry. The good news is when you do a hanging indentation, the computer does it automatically for you. This hanging indentation actually helps the reader to distinguish between each of your works cited entries. Again, it's better to show you than to tell you what this hanging indentation looks like when you go to do it on your works cited page. Now I'm going to show you 2 ways, just in case you forget to do the hanging indentation. I'm going to show you how you can highlight it and hang it afterwards, or begin your response by doing the hanging indentation. All right, let's take a look to see how this works. In this example, you'll see that I am currently in an essay document, and I'm going to scroll down to the first line in the subsequent page. I'm going to go to the center and type in works cited, capital W, capital C, and it's in the center, and I'm going to click on the next line. It's going to go down. It's going to be to the far left, and I'm going to go ahead and begin my first works cited entry. In this case, there is no author, so I have to begin with the title in quotes, and so you'll notice that the letter E dictates that this is going to be one of my first sources that I use for my works cited page. So it's going to be in alphabetical order. And it's going to be in alphabetical order. So if you go ahead and notice that all I'm doing really is just taking the works cited entry and copying everything that's in the boxes on my actual sources directly onto my paper. The only difference is I'm responsible for putting the actual work in italics, and so you have to make sure that you put that in italics. In this case I did for CNN, but then I went in and undid the italics afterwards so that the rest of the works cited entry is not in italics, it's in regular font. Now this is an example of one that has no hanging indentation, so this is not done correctly. I'll have to make that adjustment once I'm finished with the works cited entry, and I'm going to go in and do that by highlighting the entire document. Then I'm going to go to format, then I'm going to go to paragraph, and you'll see I'm going to special, clicking on it and hitting on hanging. Watch how it the margins adjust, and it just sort of wraps around. Remember, you don't ever want to hit enter when you're doing a works cited entry. It'll do it automatically for you. Now, right now what I'm doing is I want to make sure that my next works cited entry is already hanging. I want the rest of the works cited entry to do this, so I could actually start off the works cited entries all together by hanging it at the very beginning. And so now my next one begins with the letter L, last name, first name, a comma in the middle followed by a period, and then the title in quotes. Again, I'm going to put the actual overall source in italics, and all of my works cited entries are going to end with a period. In this case, I didn't put a period where I was supposed to in this document, but I want to make sure that you do it as well. So you'll notice this one is already hanging, so I'm not hitting enter. Keep that in mind. It's just going to go in and wrap it around for me, and this will distinguish the two entries. As you can see, it's sort of tabbed over. Don't tab it yourself. So it's done for me. That's the hanging indentation that I was referring to. Okay, so that's two works cited entries, and remember, I'm going to be, if I see that you're using Longley in your works cited page, and I'm going to look up in your actual essay and look for him. How many times did you refer to this person? And I'm going to put a check mark. So this is where I put the check marks. You want to make sure if you have the source listed in the works cited entry that you actually used it. You don't want, if you don't include it in your essay, then you can't include it in your works cited entry. I'm going to begin the third works cited entry, and you can just see from the first letter that it's in the correct alphabetical order by last name, but in the case with extra, we're beginning with a title. So I'm going to indicate that for you so you can see, and just circle it for you so you can. This concludes our video tutorial on how to complete a works cited page and entries for your argumentative response. Please work on drafting your works cited page this week, and let's have a draft typed or emailed to me by this Thursday. Keep in mind that if you're wanting to earn an A on the essay, your works cited page needs to be perfect. So let's get all the corrections out by the end of this week. And we'll spend some time tomorrow practicing the works cited entry as well.